Old Testament, Genesis 49 and 50. Jacob's last words to his sons. Then Jacob called his sons and said, "Gather yourselves together, that I may tell you what shall befall you in the days to come. Assemble and hear, O sons of Jacob, and hearken to Israel your father. Reuben, you are my firstborn, my might, and the first fruits of my strength. Preeminent in pride and preeminent in power. Unstable as water, you shall not have preeminence. Because you went up to your father's bed, then you defiled it. You went up to my couch. Simon and Levi are brothers. Weapons of violence are their swords. O my soul, come not into their counsel. O my spirit, be not joined to their company. For in their anger they slay men, and in their wantonness they hamstring oxen. Cursed be their anger, for it is fierce, and their wrath, for it is cruel. I will divide them in Jacob, and scatter them in Israel. Judah, your brothers shall praise you. Your hand shall be on the neck of your enemies. Your father's sons shall bow down before you. Judah is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, you have gone up. He stooped down and couched as a lion, and as lioness, who dares rouse him up? The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor the ruler's staff between his feet, until he comes to whom it belongs, and to him shall be the obedience of the peoples. Binding his fowl to the vine, and his ass's colt to the choice vine. He washes his garments in wine, and vesture in the blood of grapes. His eyes shall be red with wine, and his teeth white with milk. Zebulun shall dwell at the shores of the sea. He shall become a haven for ships, and his border shall be at Sidon. Issachar is a strong ass, crouching between his sheepfolds. He saw that a resting place was good, and that the land was pleasant, so he bowed his shoulder to bear, and became a slave at forced labor. Dan shall judge his people as one of the tribes of Israel. Dan shall be a serpent in the way, a viper by the path that bites the horse's heel, so that his rider falls backwards. I wait for thy salvation, O Lord. Raiders shall raid Gad, but he shall raid at their heels. Asher's food shall be rich, and he shall yield royal dainties. Naphtali is a hind let loose, that bears comely fawns. Joseph is a fruitful bow by a spring. His branches run over a wall. The archers fiercely attacked him, shot at him, and harassed him sorely. Yet his bow remained unmoved. His arms were made agile. By the hands of the mighty one of Jacob, by the name of the shepherd, the rock of Israel, by the God of your father who will help you, by God Almighty who will bless you, with blessings of heaven above, blessings of the deep couches beneath, blessings of the breast and the womb. The blessings of your father are mighty beyond the blessings of the eternal mountains. The bounties of the everlasting hills, may they be the head of Joseph, and the brow of him will be separate from his brothers. Benjamin is a ravenous wolf, in the morning devouring the prey, and at even dividing the spoil. Jacob's death and burial. All these are the 12 tribes of Israel, and this is what their father said to them as he blessed them, blessing each with the blessing suitable to him. Then he charged them and said to him, I am to be gathered to my people. Bury me with my fathers in the cave that is the field of Ephron the Hittite, in that cave that is buried in Machpelah in the east of Mamre, in the land of Canaan, which Abraham bought in the field of Ephron the Hittite to possess as a burying place. There they buried Abraham and Sarah his wife. There they buried Isaac and Rebekah his wife. And there I buried Leah. The field and the cave that is in it was purchased from the Hittites. When Jacob finished charging his sons, he drew up his feet into the bed and breathed his last, and was gathered up to his people. Then Joseph fell on his father's face and wept over him and kissed him. And Joseph commanded his servants the physicians to embalm his father. So the physicians embalmed Israel. 40 days were required of it, for so many are required for the embalming. And the Egyptians wept for him for 70 days. And when the days of mourning for him were past, Joseph spoke to the household of the Pharaoh, saying, If now I have found favor in your eyes, speak, I pray you, in the ears of the Pharaoh, saying, My father made me swear, saying, I am about to die. In my tomb which I hewed out for myself in the land of Canaan, there you shall bury me. Now therefore let me go up, I pray you, and bury my father, then I will return. And the Pharaoh answered, "Go up and bury your father, as he made you swear." So Joseph went up to bury his father, and with him went all the servants of the Pharaoh, the elders of his household, and all the elders in the land of Egypt, as well as all the household of Joseph, his brothers, and his father's household. Only their children, their flocks, their herds were left in the land of Goshen. And there went up with him both chariots and horsemen. It was very great company. When they came to the threshold of the floor of Atad, which is beyond the Jordan, they lamented there a very great and sorrowful lamentation. And he became the mourning for his father 7 days. When the inhabitants of the land, the Canaanites, saw the mourning of the threshold floor of Atad, they said, "This is a grievous mourning to the Egyptians." Therefore the place was named Abel Nisan Rayam. It is beyond the Jordan. Thus his sons did it for him as he had commanded them. For his sons carried him to the land of Canaan and buried him in the cave of the field of Machpelah to the east of Mamre, which Abraham brought in the fields of the Ephraim the Hittite to possess as a burying place. After he had buried his father, Joseph returned to Egypt with his brothers and all who had gone up with him to bury his father. Joseph forgives his brothers. When Joseph's brothers saw that their father was dead, they said, "It may be that Joseph will hate us and pay us back for all the evil we had done to him." So they sent a message to Joseph saying, "Your father gave this command before he died. Say to Joseph, 'Forgive, I pray you, the transgressions of your brothers and their sin, because they did evil to you. And now we pray you, forgive the transgressions of the servants of the God of your father." Joseph wept, and they spoke to him. His brothers also came and fell down before him, and said, "Behold, we are your servants." But Joseph said to them, "Fear not, for I am in the place of God. As for you, you are alive as they are today. So do not fear, I will provide for you and your little ones." Thus he reassured them and comforted them. Joseph's last days and death. So Joseph dwelt in the land of Egypt, he and his father's house, and Joseph lived 110 years. And Joseph saw Ephraim's children of the third generation. The children also of Machir, the son of Manasseh, were born upon Joseph's knees. And Joseph said to his brothers, "I am about to die, but God will visit you and bring you up out of this land to which he swore to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob." So Joseph took an oath of the sons of Israel, saying, "God will visit you, and you shall carry up my bones from here." So Joseph died being 110 years old, and they emballed him and put him in a coffin in Egypt. New Testament, Matthew 13, verses 31 through 58. The parable of the mustard seed. Another parable he put before them, saying, "The kingdom of heaven is like the grain of a mustard seed, which a man took and sowed in his field. It is the smallest of all the seeds, but when it has grown, it is the greatest of shrubs, and it will become a tree, so that the birds of the air come and make nests in its branches." The parable of the yeast. He told them another parable. "The kingdom of heaven is like leaven, which a woman took and hid in 3 measures of meal, till it was leavened." The use of parables. All this Jesus said to the crowds in parables. Indeed, he said nothing to them without a parable. This was to fulfill what was spoken by the prophet. "I will open up my mouth in parables. I will utter what was hidden since the foundation of the world." Jesus explains the parable of the weeds. Then he left the crowds and went into the house, and his disciples came to him saying, "Explain to us the parable of the weeds of the field." He answered, "He who sows the good seed is the Son of Man, and the good seed means the sons of the kingdom. The weeds are the sons of the evil one, and the enemy who sowed them is the devil. The harvest is close of the age, and the reapers are angels. Just as the weeds are gathered and burned with fire, so will it be at the close of age. And they will gather out of all his kingdom all the causes of sin and all the evildoers, and throw them into the furnace of fire. There men will weep and gnash their teeth. Then the righteous will shine like the sun in the kingdom of their Father. He who has ears, let him hear." 3 parables. The kingdom of heaven is like a hidden treasure in a field, which a man found and covered up. Then in his joy he goes and sells all that he has and buys that field. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant in the field of fine pearls, who, on finding one pearl of great value, went and sold all that which he had and bought it. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like the net which was thrown into the sea and gathered fish of every kind. When it was full, men drew it ashore and sat down and sorted the good into the vessels, but threw away the bad. So it will be at the close of the age. The angels will come out and separate the evil from the righteous and throw them into the furnace of fire. There men will weep and gnash their teeth. Have you understood all of this? They said to him, Yes, and he said to them, Therefore every scribe who has been trained for the kingdom of heaven is like a householder who brings out of his treasure what is new and what is old. The rejection of Jesus at Nazareth. And when Jesus had finished these parables, he went on from there, and coming to his own country, he taught them in a synagogue. So they were astonished and said, Where did this man get his wisdom and his mighty works? Is this not the carpenter's son? Is not his mother called Mary? Are we not his brethren James and Joseph and Simon and Judas? And are not all of his sisters with us? Where then did this man get all of this? And they took offense at him. But Jesus said to them, A prophet is not without honor except in his own country and his own house. And he did not do any mighty works there because of their unbelief. Thank you for listening. God bless you. And if you want to continue, subscribe and have a great day.